Our state has some incredible problems. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. I'm here to talk about that with you and talk about the trends that have shaped this state and dragged us in one direction or another. We're not really we're not realizing the dream we had way back in the early 2000s or even around 2008 or 9 or 10. My name is Lynn Hinderaker. Welcome to WowBiz Nebraska. We're going to get it on right now. WowBiz Nebraska, Lynn Hinderaker here. Thanks so much for watching today. It's a special show. We've got some very interesting organic metaphors of how business is changing in your organization and in this entire state here in Nebraska. Leadership is changing. Most leaders today, when they're trained and they're finally turned loose and they're given responsibility for a team or a group or a department or whatever, they are trained to be very linear, right? Line up the things, find the problem, zone in, change the thing, solve the problem, heal the issue, pull back. This is common management theory, common practice. Today, everything's different. Today, we have to acknowledge that the employees and the people that help or serve those employees are part of an ecosystem. Some of them live at home, some of them are working in an office, some of them are on a beach in Mexico, whatever. But here we have a symbol for today's organization. If you are a leader, you don't need to be a mechanic anymore. Don't think of yourself as a mechanic doing what I just mentioned to you. The hood, pull the hood up in the car, go in there, find the problem, change the plugs, get out, bang, done. I'm the boss, right? That's how it's been for decades. Now you're a gardener. If you want to lead in this era, and I'm talking about post-pandemic now, you have to think of yourself as a gardener. And that's why this particular Boston fern right here is such a great example of the kinds of opportunities and problems that you'll challenge you, that you'll see and witness. People tell me, Lynn, I got your idea, I kind of see what you're doing and so on, but I can't really envision what you're talking about. So here we are today on WowBiz Nebraska, taking a look at this robust, beautiful, interesting fern that has all kinds of situations that I, as a gardener or leader of an organization, can solve. Now let's go a little deeper on that. For instance, up here on the top of this fern, this is where the high-level thinking is really going on, right? A lot of strategy, a lot of vision. What are we going to be? Take a look at this. Here we have a person who's extremely visionary and perceptive, and is saying, hey boss, 10 years from now, we're going to be in big trouble unless we do this, this, and this, whatever it is. So he's a planner and a visionary. This particular stem symbolizes that, of course. And then we have a guy over here. He's your chief innovation officer, and he's out there checking out, all the technology that will be necessary by 2030 or maybe 2035, and he's bringing back ideas that are absorbed into the infrastructure of the fern or the organization. Now, a lot of people are out of the office, they're working remotely, but they do come in, they do come into the middle of the organization because face-to-face dialogue and back and forth and even body language and so on, as long as it's conducted in the right environment, this would be kind of a fertile environment, obviously, a lot of great new ideas are hatched in that kind of face-to-face interaction. So that's what you see right down here in the middle of this beautiful fern. Now let's go further with this. Let's pretend that we have a sales department. They've been doing the same thing for many years, serving a lot of the same clients for many years. And here they are over here. They're kind of medium, right? They're reaching out there. They're touching a few. They look pretty healthy, although we've got a couple salespeople that had to fall off and leave here. But they're not sprightly, right? They don't have a lot of energy over here. They're just kind of dipping into the sales trough. What can I get you next month? We'll put a bid in, blah, blah, blah. A lot of companies work like that. Now we've got this over here. These guys over here are the distribution system. And some of them are old school. They use trucks and so on to distribute the product. Some of them use the web. And so here they are, and there's various kinds of kind of overlapping. So if you've got a problem in the distribution part of your organization, you have to realize you take it apart. Well, these guys here are the internet guys. This is our good True Blue drivers. They distribute the product there. Here are the guys that we know that are our supervisors, and they're telling everybody what to do and where to go. Then we have the customer service department over here. And by the way, There's been a lot of people in customer service that have had to drop off. As you can see, we have these tan little brown things here, obviously not vital, not potent, not doing well. So they're going to go away. They're continuing to go away right now. They don't like the service, and they don't like the boss that's managing that department. That boss is up here, by the way, kind of closer to the core of the organization. And he's near all the good, vital, potent things, the green things, the new stems, the new projects. And so he doesn't realize that his approach towards managing people and technology really isn't working. So we'll have to get back to that a little bit later on. But this is an incredible, now what if, let's say for instance, you say, we want to grow in 2023, and we're assuming that we're going to do organic growth. We're just going to keep on pouring it on and trying to get the sales guys to close a few more deals and so on, right? But there is a way to accelerate growth, because nobody is absolutely sure. We've been doing the same thing for a long time. Maybe we either need to launch some new products, start a new division, maybe do some research and really reach out to customers and say, what is it that you like? What is it that you want us to do next time around? What would it take for us to get the business away from your other vendor? These are the kinds of far-sighted questions that a researcher typically will ask every few years, and then you get their answers and you chat with all the employees about it, and then you go off and write a strategic plan, which is down here, growing right now, in somebody's head, in somebody's vision, right? It's a beautiful thing. Now, these days, associations are very interesting. They're struggling with membership because there's a lot of consolidation going on, and so you actually have fewer members than you did 5 years ago because they're all kind of coming together. They're forming alliances or just getting legally, they're merging. So they have a little bit of an issue there, but there is, so they keep including more and more people in their trade group, in their association, just to keep them robust. It's a little bit like taking water and spraying it like this, That's money and new people from outside the pot, right? Outside the industry that we're allowing in there. They're typically vendors, by the way, and they're going to float around at trade shows and try to sell their products and so on. So anyway, this is a wonderful example of how you as a leader should be looking at your organization saying, what's healthy, right? What's struggling, what wants to grow even more? What wants to go out and get some more business or get some more ideas? One of the cool things, I'm going to turn this around a little bit, is focusing more on creativity and innovation, coming up with more new products and services, or products that are either cheaper to produce or products, and this is a big trend, that have premium, high-end versions of what you do, either more service or another feature or something that makes them really, really dynamite, So either one of those two strategies take place, and sometimes to pull it off, you need an alliance. You need kind of a relationship, because costs might be too much if you want to pull together some kind of a partnership. And so you go to a trade show, and there's all these industries, representatives there, and they have some indirect relationship with your industry. And so you're looking around. You say, if we talk, we're in the battery business, but we need to find some people that create the cases and the valves and the screws and the nuts and all the cords that encase our battery, just to use an example. Let's see if we can't go to their industry trade show and see what's up. So here we are, and we're going to go to that industry. I'm going to pull this over here a little bit. And while we're there, our two vice presidents talk to each other in the aisle, have a drink somewhere, whatever, and we're chatting, we're warming them up. Because we're looking for some kind of a synergistic relationship between this fern, this organization, that also, of course, is symbolized by a fern. And they're doing well. Look how many young people they're attracting. Just all these young buds and everything coming up. And they have new ideas about what the company should be and could be and so on, right? So we're over here. We got one of those young guys, but everybody else is pretty much kind of veterans in our organization. We want to come together, right? We want to find some way to share optimistic energy, share technology, share some kind of a division or some kind of a sub-organization, maybe sub-brand, right? Maybe we come up with a sub-brand. Our ad agency can do that. And create yet another fresh, organic thing, right? Well, actually, it wouldn't be organic, right? because we would be either maybe buying the other company, maybe we buy interest in it or buy 10% of it or vice versa. Something that pulls us together financially as well as technology typically, and then talent as well. We might even have champions that go back and forth between the two organizations and talk about different ideas. Maybe they go off and have some kind of a getaway someplace at a hotel and talk about how our organizations can achieve synergy, lower costs, and maybe find some market segment, whether it's electric cars or trucks or some segment of that market probably, that we can serve especially well. So this is a very exciting idea, and you can see there's so much, right? There's so much that can be done between these two industries and these two organizations. And the main thing, of course, is that there's a long-term future between them. You don't want to, you start out with a little cross promotions, you do a little thing, you can have some of our juice, we'll have some of your juice, share some ideas maybe, get together once a month and talk about how to help each other. But you want to go beyond that, especially these younger folks want very authentic, daily, let's not BS each other, let's either work together or get off the whole idea. But this is really the future of business right here, is thinking about the whole ecosystems, platforms, communities, reaching out, boundarylessness, to say that correctly. And many times that's what trade shows are about, because it's hard sometimes to warm up to a dialogue with somebody that they don't know if you're pitching them or they're pitching you. That whole thing has to be worked through. But this is a very healthy and organic looking partnership, and something would be written up about it in the trade mags and talk about how these two organizations got together around a central idea. And that central idea might have a different, this is something a lot of people don't really think about, might have a different business model, there might be a different way of creating value than what they traditionally do in this industry. Over here, well, we just buy parts and supplies, we mark them up, and then we sell them wholesale or retail or whatever. I mean, we all know that, but there are other business models. For instance, I'll tell you this as I'm looking at this, affiliate marketing. These people's approach and come say, we're supported by insurance, that symbolized by this big pot. And we're held together by a number of legal and financial things and so on. But people ask us all the time about our pot and how we hold of our business together. So maybe we should resell. We should resell your service. We should get in the business of reselling this kind of stuff, maybe into our own industry. But that would definitely be a new product for us. We're manufacturers and distributors. We're not used to selling financial services and intangible things and so on. So that would be a step away. So the quick question is, back at the the board of directors, how much extra revenue would it generate if we actually started a small division? That would be something like this over here, and sold insurance and bonds and all kinds of interesting financial products to people in our industry. And this is how business goes in 2023 and beyond. And of course, the relationships always are a little bit different every time. An outsider can sometimes see it in a clearer perspective. There's always somebody who wants it more than the other guy. But I think these two are great metaphors. And by the way, if you give public speeches or speak to your Rotary Club in your community, remember to include metaphors and symbols, because people will relate to them much easier, much better, much faster, and they'll remember, they will remember your presentation, no matter what it's about. Utilize metaphors and symbols, just like we've got right here with these Boston ferns. Well, thank you so much for being with us today here at WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. I'm a management consultant, a trainer, an advisor, and of course, we love to do our digital media. Now, I'd like to tell you about an organization just stepping away from this wonderful area, but it's kind of prompted this idea, this thought, because when you look at these ferns, I mean, obviously they look healthy, don't they? They look robust and happy, so to speak, and certainly healthy. And when I think about health in a business context, I think, believe it or not, I think about a clean office building, all right? Especially after the COVID situation the last 2, 3, 4 years, And everybody is sensitive to it. They want to make sure that there's some kind of a sanitization, or they don't want bacteria on the tables. I mean, if there's some way to clean the area above the tables, I mean, that would be great too, right? We all want to know that it's meticulous, clean. And you know, frankly, if I'm a company and I want to rent some space in a building, you know, there's a lot of considerations, the price and the location, the convenience, the people that are in the general area and so on. But the number one thing, it's got to be clean. The office has got to be clean, meticulous. All right, so I want to encourage you to think about, if you own a building, if you're a property manager, a real estate developer, somebody like that, you want to be sensitive to a company called Jan Pro of Omaha. Jan Pro of Omaha. There's a hyphen between Jan Pro. An incredible company, part of a national franchise. I think they're number 1 or 2 in this janitorial industry. Immaculate, a dynamite franchisor who is quite an entrepreneur and very inspirational insofar as his crews. He's got about 20-25 franchisee groups around the city of Omaha, and they're number 1 with measurable, please listen to me, measurable results with their janitorial services, and I recommend them highly. Jan Pro of Omaha, check them out. Thank you. We'll be right back. I can't wait to talk to you again, coming out the back end of this show, about innovation on March 28th. Welcome back to WowBiz Nebraska. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. This is Nebraska's only economic development program, and I'm here to talk to you the back end of this particular show, to talk to you about innovation. Now, we're doing a seminar on March 28th. That's coming up here in about 14, 15 days at the Swanson Library in Omaha, Nebraska, 90th and Dodge. But we do this kind of thing all over the state, and it's well attended. People are very interested in innovation. To be honest with you, innovation, if you link it to taxes, if you link it to the fact that our population is in semi-decline, certainly flat population growth. And when we talk about young skilled workers, it's definitely declined. We're losing 4,500 workers like that a year these days. When I first got involved with Nebraska's economic development scene, it was really 2,000 workers way back in 2002. I guess it's been quite a long time. Well, anyway, so this problem has worsened steadily, of course. So when I visit with them, and this was about 2 years ago, and I said, what's the big issue? They shared with me, they said, you know, we've been taught at UNL and other colleges, of course. This was in Lincoln, by the way. And they said that they bring in lecturers regularly from outside to talk to the MBA classes and so on. And they constantly harp on the importance of innovation. They bring out all the statistics and so on. The importance, if you're a business owner or CEO, whatever, that you've got to roll out new products and services, new processes, new ways to think about strategy, all new ways to segment your audience to make sure that you're always relevant. And that's very important. New research, all this stuff, right? And they get out, they graduate, and they get out in Nebraska. They've grown up there. They go to businesses in the local areas all around the state, and they said, I'm looking for a job. So they get into a chat, you know, because they're all bright, young, ambitious people, want to move ahead with their lives and their careers. But when they visit in depth with the business owner and they mention innovation, particularly digital innovation, but it could be really anything, process-oriented, whatever, what they get is a cold stare. They get a cold stare. Business owners in Nebraska have historically, and I'm generalizing, there's many exceptions, I'm sure, but they don't want to change what they've been doing, even if their profits have slowly declined or negligible, whatever. Many times they've inherited the business from their dad or grandpa or whatever, but the bottom line is innovation is not well received in the business sector of our state. And of course, there are people recruiters calling these young people constantly, offering them jobs all over the United States, saying, hey, come lead an innovation project over here. Come lead this digital transformation project, right? We need to be more efficient over here. Maybe you can help us drive down costs with this or that technology. And personalization is a huge thing. And of course, artificial intelligence, we've only just begun there. So the question many of them say is, hey, can you help us leverage and exploit AI here in our marketplace? But they're not hearing that from the business owners in Nebraska. And so as a result, they're splitting. It hurts our GDP, it hurts our tax base, and it makes it impossible for us to deliver the good life. So just think that through for a moment, the negative implications of what I just said right now. So that means that business owners, now we're getting down to brass tacks now, have to lean across the desk and say, look, I don't have the time, the people to learn. You're going to have to teach me or do it for us, one or the other. But somebody here, if you want us to roll out a new product, you're going to have to lower the risk factor as much as possible and maybe do it for us or help us get from A to Z with that. We're willing to try, right? Because they've learned now that they can't attract these people, even with big salaries. And these young people are earning big salaries in some cases, but they'll turn that down if they don't have the opportunity to do something meaningful with a new something, whether a new product, whatever it is. So innovate to be great is kind of my little title for the instruction that I provide people. Now, some people say, hey, you know, what does that mean, really? I mean, you know, give me an example of innovation, Lynn. Go ahead. So I want to talk to you about this. We're looking now at trends, kind of the landscape, all kinds of industries and the economy and all that. And as you might know, community banks, independent community banks here in Nebraska and across the entire country are struggling. They've declined a little bit. The number of them around declined 6 or 7% over the last few years. And community banks have a tough time being competitive with big branch banks who have much better technology. And as a result, they can process transactions faster and personalize things. And, you know, a lot of cool bells and whistles. But that's not all. They also have to worry about fintech and what they call neobanks. How about Capital One? That would be a neobank. They're really not part of the federal system, of course, but they do position themselves as kind of a bank with a great coffee, you know, a great coffee station and so on. And it's really all about conversation with them and getting acquainted with their cash flow and blah, blah, blah. But so they have a lot of things coming at them, community banks. They've got to figure out a way to catch up or maybe even do something dramatic, better, cooler, hipper, something that people would say, I love that. We're going to go down there tomorrow. So here's the idea. This is one example, and I have several which we won't have time for. The idea here is to encourage children, little children, get the parents and the kids together and get all the pennies in the house that are laying around, get them together in a box or a bag or whatever, right? And come to the community bank. Now, obviously, advertising will play a big role here. And they walk in with their pennies, and maybe they dump them on something. There may be a lot of sound and so on and so forth, right? And then the community bank says, this is wonderful. Thank you so much. We'll start an account for you, Susie, or whatever it is. Parents beaming, because the parents are dreaming 20 years down the road, maybe we'll be able to get her to college, you know? It's tough these days to afford college, but maybe this is the beginning, symbolically, of course, to get her to college. Now, here's the kicker. As we all know, on an international level, you can't avoid this. Ukraine is in deep trouble. They've been struggling with Russia for a year, and it's probably going to go on. You might know, of course, that children, young children and mothers typically, are fleeing Ukraine and going to Poland. And some very hospitable families there, many of them in Poland, are taking in these poor folks, the children and the mothers and the sisters, and bringing them in and taking care of them indefinitely, by the way, to make sure they're safe and so on, even though their father and their brothers are fighting way back in Kyiv or where else they are in Ukraine. So the idea would be that community banks, could be in Nebraska, could be all over the country, say, you know what, for every penny that you brought to our bank, and we set it up, we're going to donate 2 pennies. 2 pennies for every penny we receive from every little family around there. Now, the little child that donates this or makes the deposit receives the story. It's a very important story that not only are they doing something for themselves, right, but they're doing twice as much for some little girl in Poland, right, whose parents are still back in Ukraine. And they can imagine what it would be like to go through that trauma, even if they're young, you know. So this is a very emotional thing and a wonderful thing, you know, a thing that you want to grab the banker and give him or her a hug, right? Because it could come in from all over the community. Everybody's bringing their pennies in, setting them up. Everybody's excited, and the bankers feel like they have a higher purpose because they're going to donate all this money. And really, I mean, it's not probably going to be a huge amount, but collectively, it could be a great deal of money. And there'll be a third party that will, of course, safely and securely get the money all the way across the ocean and over there to the right people in Poland. It can become so inspirational. I'm talking right now to community bankers, association leaders, all this could become so powerful that it attracts the attention of celebrities and stars and singers and actors and high-profile people. Now I'm thinking about what happened in 1985 when millions of people donated money to a nonprofit group in Africa, because there were people in Africa were going through a tremendous suffering, terrible problem. And again, the creative community in Hollywood and New York in particular came together, and each of them donated a lot of money. Each of them, $500,000 each, $1 million, who knows what it was, but it was a big number. Michael Jackson was involved, of course, and many others. So they put together this massive concert. Again, I think most of you know about this. It was called We Are the World. We Are the World. We're coming together, all kinds of people. Bruce Springsteen sang, beautiful. And they sang this incredible song called We Are the World. And everybody in the United States was walking around humming, We Are the World. It really was a purification exercise as well as something to help these four folks. Now, as a result of this, so we have to have a song, don't we? We have to have a song to make it happen, right? There has to be somebody watching some streaming video, YouTube, whatever it is, and something comes on, and it's a pop star, right? It's some young person out of Hollywood, some singer, somebody that a 6 or 8-year-old would know, but maybe a 15-year-old would also know and watch. And that person, we'll say it's a young girl, but it could be a guy, and they sing a song with the following lyrics. Because now we're going to talk about the future of America. Every penny is a possibility. If you save them up, you will surely see. All your hopes and dreams of what you want to be, every penny is a possibility. That's the song that could motivate the entire country to go to community banks, send money to the Ukrainian children, and give them support. All right, thanks so much for WowBiz Nebraska. We are your innovation catalyst. I'm Lynn Hinderaker. Thanks so much for watching the show. We'll see you next time. We'll check you out. Remember, innovation is great.